Okie dokie. So, let's begin. So, this time, we're going to be going over layouts in AutoCAD. We will be using them to plot and to scale our viewports. I'm just going to create a few intricate objects here. Well, actually quite simple objects, but point being to get a sense of space and scale. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our layouts. Okay. The easiest way to go to the layout is through the layout tab. Okay. You may notice we have three tabs down here. One is model, one is layout, and one is layout 2. Okay. Also on the far right side, we've got model or paper space. This allows us to swap back and forth. Most useful if we're in a layout, but if we're in model space, like we are right now, this is model space. Everything you've done so far is in model space. If we click that, it should bring us into layout space, or to the layout in paper space. Okay, we've got a quick view button here and here for layouts and drawings, which are hopefully sufficiently definable. Okay, so I'm going to go to the layout. Okay. Whenever I enter the layout, it automatically gives me this viewport. Now that is because I am using the standard AutoCAD template. Now, other templates may not automatically put this in here. If you do not have one, you will want to use the mview command to create another viewport. Okay. So, what can we do with the viewports? Now that we're in here, okay, I only see very little of my drawing in here. So, what if I wanted that to zoom in? Here's a couple of ways you can do that. Usually the best way, if you're going to draw something, or print it rather, for a standardized scale, is whenever you have it selected, you can see the viewport scale. Okay, if you click on it, got all these available standard scales. Okay, so right now the scale is like 0.69 whatever down there, and that is pretty small. So we'll have to go smaller than that in order to encompass what I currently have, because what I should have in model space is larger than everything here. Okay, so 0.69, that's about 2 to 3 right there. So smaller than 2/3 is 1 to 2, or 1/2. Okay, that's not exactly what I'm needing. Maybe if I zoomed out just a little more. Okay, that's probably what I need, except it's now no longer centered. Okay, something you can do, if you double-click inside of the viewport, this will activate model space. You can also see down here what used to say paper is now model for model space. And now you can adjust by just panning. You can also scroll in and out, but I would not advise this because it really badly throws off your zoom here. Okay, what's this good for? Oh, on your title blocks that you've made in this class, there's that little scale area that a lot of folks I've seen have put 1-to-1 scale on. But whenever you plot it out on a size A sheet of paper, it's not 1-to-1 anymore. Using layouts, you can make sure that it's 1-to-1. So, what are some things we can do to the layout itself? We've already done a little bit with the viewport. So, if you right-click on the Layout tab, there are other ways to get to these as well. But most important one would be the Page Setup Manager. This one's very useful for defining your layout. Okay, this list here shows all available layouts that you currently have. Okay, but since I only have one that I've actually activated, I just have Layout 1. If I went to Layout 2 or created even a third layout, I would see those presented here. So I'm going to make sure this is selected so that it's nice and blue, and I'm going to modify it. Okay, this will help because while I'm modifying it, I can change what plotter it's going to print to, change the size of the paper, okay, which I'm going to stick to size A. Okay, we will be plotting layout, not display, not extents, not window, layout. Okay, so that what is on the piece of paper in layout space is what prints. Something else that this is useful for that you may have noticed, may not have, is this dashed line around the paper. That depicts the printable area on the layout. Okay, the printable area is different per printer. Okay, so if you have this set to none, that's what you get. It's just a very equalized margin around it, because it assumes that whatever you're printing on can't print to the very edge. Then whenever we switch it to DWG to PDF and hit OK, it changes. Now this side is thicker than this side over the top and bottom. So this gives us a good spot if we are going to insert our title block. Now I don't have a title block on this computer, so I can't just pull one up to show you. But the title block that I had you create was something like 7 by 10. Okay. Or maybe it was 7.5 by 10. Oh well. Nonetheless, let's see if this works then. Oh well. So, see that 7.5 by 10 fits pretty well. It's got some extra space, so I can center it. Okay. If I were to plot this, okay, I would see this rectangle here, which is my viewport. Okay. This is part of the reason for layers. Sadly, for this video, I do not have any layers yet. So I'm going to create some layers. Alrighty. So let's make some layers. And there we go. So with this, I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call it Viewports. VP for short. And I'm going to give it a strange color so that I make sure whatever's on this layer is obvious for me to notice. Then right here, there's an option for plotting. Okay, I'm going to turn that off so I can still see the layer whenever I'm editing it, but it's not going to plot. So I'm going to move my viewport onto that new layer. See, now it's a bright color. Okay, so if I were to plot this now, okay, let's see. Now I get the DWG to PDF by default because that is my layout now. That is my page setup settings. Okay, plot layout, hit OK. Well, since I'm saving this as a DWG, or yeah, PDF rather, there we go. I've got to save the file. And there we go. I've got the outermost rectangle, which I drew in Paperspace to help simulate my title block. Then I have the objects I created in model space, which are at 1/4 scale. Okay, so let's go back then. And let's see. Since your title block should have a space on it for scale, I'm going to put a little spot down here for scale as well. So, what scale am I operating at? Okay. If this is mechanical, you want to use the ratios 1 to 4, 1 to 2, etc. If it is architectural, you want to use inches to feet, or inches equals feet. Okay, this is more standardized for architectural. So if this were, for example, a floor plan, where I've got this large center column and some walls. Okay, kind of a bland room, but there we go. And that's not what I'm wanting it to do. Oh, that's why. Okay, so if this were architectural, I would say the scale is 3 inches equals 1 foot and 0 inches. Okay. If it's mechanical, I would have said that this is a 1 to 4 scale. So that's the very basics of layouts, and hopefully it covers it as much as need be.